Via Nolan King on Instagram and Twitter, the UFC have an event permit for September 16th, and it's going to be at the T-Mobile Arena. Ladies and gentlemen, what do we think about T-Mobile Arena fights? Those are pay-per-view fights, ladies and gentlemen. The T-Mobile Arena, right now, it's set for a UFC fight night, but we know the UFC doesn't just go to the T-Mobile Arena for a regular old UFC fight night between some rank 6 and rank 7 guys in the welterweight division or whatever the case may be. We know when the UFC goes to that T-Mobile Arena, they got big fights. And I did make in this post right here, UFC 293 in the T-Mobile Arena, but the more that I think about this fight, UFC 293 right now is on September 9th, 1 week prior to this T-Mobile event. And I think they're going to keep it like that. I think they'll do Israel Adesanya Whitaker 3, Adesanya Jiu-Jitsu Plessis, something like that. Stack the card with Australian and New Zealand prospects and things like that. Maybe some UK fighters as well. And make it a really solid pay-per-view. But I don't think they're going to make Leon Edwards and Colby Covington wait as long as they are, because we got to remember, when was the last time Leon Edwards fought? When was the last time Leon Edwards fought against Kamaru Usman? That was back in March. And as of right now, the most likely return for Leon Edwards is going to be on that UFC 294 card, which as of today is that October 21st in Abu Dhabi. It's a little bit too far away, in my opinion. Moving it to September 16th, having back-to-back UFC pay-per-views, I see as a very big possibility. I do see a good possibility where they just do, a Sydney, Australia fight with Adesanya versus whoever, and a week later, in the T-Mobile Arena, have a big matchup between Leon Edwards and Colby Covington. Have Valentina Shevchenko on the card, taking on Alexa Grasso in the rematch. I think there's a very good possibility they do that. Because right now, again, it's September 16th in the T-Mobile Arena. When have we seen a T-Mobile Arena fight that's been a UFC fight? Now, I really can't remember any T-Mobile Arena fights that have been, UFC fight night type of events. I highly doubt that's going to be the case here. So, what do y'all think? I mean, UFC 291 is going to be there as well. What do y'all think? Do we get Leon Colby in that main event? I mean, who else would it be? I'm going to go over to UFC rankings really quick to see, what is the other alternative? They make it a UFC fight night at the T-Mobile Arena? I highly doubt that. Unless they're going to do maybe like Khamzat Chimaev, Kamaru Usman for an interim belt. I don't know. I highly doubt they do a UFC fight night for that card. Islam Makhachev, maybe, but you still got to wait for the winner of Dariush, Charles Oliveira, and all that. I'm assuming Islam's going to be pushed back a little bit. There is also, that's one I wasn't thinking about, is Jamal Hill versus Yuri Prochazka. That is one I wasn't thinking about, but again, we did hear that Yuri Prochazka was not able to fight on the August 19th card at UFC 292. That's a month later. It's about 27 days after. Maybe Yuri Prochazka would be able to fight on that card. Obviously, Jones isn't going to be on there. Adesanya's not. Islam probably not. Volkanovski, that's too little of a layoff. Sterling, too little of a layoff. Moreno, too little of a layoff. And again, I already said Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso, co-main events. And then the main event of Colby Covington, Leon Edwards is the only thing that really makes sense. I could be wrong, but that is kind of what I'm thinking here. What do y'all think? What headlines the September 16th card? Again, right now it's a UFC fight night, but I guarantee 9 times out of 10 this is going to be a UFC pay-per-view like they did with, forget on the card. It was like where Usman, was it Usman? I don't know what it was. Islam was on one of the cards. What was it? Jan Blachowicz versus Glover Teixeira main event. And then like a week later, I think they had Usman Covington, maybe? I don't know. But they had 2 pay-per-views in a row. I think there's a good possibility they do that again here. And just make the UFC 294 in Abu Dhabi, just make that UFC 295, make UFC 295, UFC 296, and just kind of push back all of these ones, doubling up on UFC pay-per-views. Again, could be wrong, but that's what I think. What do y'all think about that in the UFC's welterweight division?